This is Christian Gomez with the New American Magazine, and today on the program again, we're glad to have Chapman Chen coming to us from Hong Kong. It's reporting on the situation in the country as Hong Kong is being besieged by forces of communist China. Chapman, thank you for joining us again on the program. We're glad to have you back on.
Thank you for having me again, Christian.
Absolutely. So last time you were on the program with us, you were describing the arrests that were going on an almost daily basis of Hong Kongers. Can you just give us a little recap about that portion before we jump into today's topic?
Yes, I have to stress again that a genocide is going on in Hong Kong because uh, since June, 6,000 dissidents have been arrested, including 1,000 children,
Wow.
and also 16,000 tear gas canisters have been fired, and literally turning the entire city into a gas chamber like those used by Hitler to exterminate the Jews. And
Wow.
uh, and also two universities have been severely invaded and attacked by the police. And also children are being kidnapped or disappeared on a daily basis. And there are allegations of young girls having been gang raped by the police, and some of them have fled to Taiwan, according to a Taiwanese pastor.
So
So,
according to a Taiwanese pastor, some have fled to the island nation of Taiwan, correct?
correct, and there are allegations that young dissidents who have been arrested have been transferred to China. And for example, Simon Chen, a former UK consulate employee in Hong Kong, was recently kidnapped by the CCP. And in China, he eyewitnessed dissidents from Hong Kong being tortured by the CCP.
Wow. So, despite the extradition bill not being, let's say, approved by the people of Hong Kong, despite it being, correct me if I'm wrong, the extradition bill is was repealed, right? Was it not repealed?
Yes, it was already withdrawn, but only to be replaced with a even more severe law. That
Oh, really?
is the Emergency Regulation Ordinance, which would empower the chief executive of Hong Kong to do anything she wants to do.
So essentially, we have anyone who takes a firm stand against the communist Chinese regime, young people especially, being kidnapped, tortured, possibly even sex trafficked throughout mainland China. Now, you mentioned that there was a Taiwanese pastor who said that some young girls have fled to Taiwan for refuge. Can you tell us about what some churches in Hong Kong are doing to help or make the situation possibly even worse in Hong Kong? I believe you have some information about the state of the churches in Hong Kong.
Yes, quite a few pastors have voiced support for Beijing and for the Hong Kong police. And for example, the one of the board of directors of the Evangel Seminary, uh, Evangel Seminary in Hong Kong, Joseph Lui. He's one of the directors of this seminary, the Evangel Seminary. He when he once he preached that to go against the government is to go against God, and
So
so
they're using scriptural verses that state that the government are the ordained, the God ordained sort of rulers, and that to go against the Chinese Communist Party government. Thus, they're
or the
equating
Hong
it to
Kong
going
government.
against the will of God. Essentially, these certain pastors.
Yes, he cites Romans chapter 13, verse 1. Be subject to the governing authorities. But uh, But Romans 13, 4 also stresses that the governing authorities got to be a faithful servant of God, in the sense that the authorities are supposed to punish the evildoers and to reward the good people. And also God himself raised up leaders like Gideon or Edward or Deborah or Samson to overthrow tyrannical governments.
Yes, those are mentioned in the book of Judges of the Old Testament.
Exactly. And also a scriptural perspective generally held by the founding fathers of USA was that although God does not condone an offensive war, God does permit a defensive war or self-defense. For example, the Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 13 to 14, or Zechariah chapter 9, verse 8, or the second volume of Samuel, chapter 10, verse 12. So anyway, another Antichrist pastor, so-called Antichrist pastor, is Gordon Seal, the senior pastor of North Point Alliance Church, which has a huge lot of followers. And he condemns the Hong Kong activists for their violence, but he does not condemn the Hong Kong police for their violence, which can be seen in numerous videos taken by the journalists. So according to Thomas Jefferson, the founding father of the USA, resistance to tyrants is obedience to God.
And resistance to tyranny is obedience to God. That's right. That's what Thomas Jefferson said.
Yes, exactly. And also according to Exodus chapter 22, verse 2, if anybody catches a thief breaking in and hits him so that he dies, he's not guilty of murder. And also Jesus said in Matthew chapter 10, verse 34, don't think I have come to bring peace on the earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. And also in Numbers chapter 31, verse 3, Moses spake to the people, saying that arm some of yourselves into the war and go against the Midianites and avenge the Lord of Midian. So we sometimes in order to defend ourselves, our home, and our family, we have to use force.
Absolutely. The Bible does not teach blind obedience to the state, especially a government that's evil and persecuting its fellow citizens. And of course, the Chinese Communist Party in mainland China persecutes Christians, has demolished churches of all denominations, evangelical, Protestant, Catholic, have even persecuted Jehovah's Witnesses that are in Hong Kong, Falun Gong, another religious group. Uyghur Muslims have been placed in concentration camps in Western China. So China is a very communist China, that is. The Communist Party is very intolerant to religion as a whole, especially Christianity. So why would these pastors in Hong Kong, these evangelical pastors that you've mentioned, why would they, of all people, essentially be apologists for the Communist Party government of China, considering what they in mainland China have done and are doing as we speak to worshipers and believers of Jesus Christ? Do you think that the seminaries in Hong Kong, where some of these pastors are probably being trained, or different overseas seminaries, have been perhaps co-opted by the communists in some way to train these pastors to obey the Chinese Communist government or progressive style governments in general?
Well, many churches and many pastors in Hong Kong want to preach in mainland China. So if they speak out against the CCP or against the Hong Kong government, they will not be allowed to enter China. So and of course they some of them are funded by the Hong Kong government to some extent.
And the Hong Kong government itself receives some funding from the Chinese Communist government, does it not?
Yes, and some churches receive some fundings from the authorities. And by the way, there is a very famous Italian Catholic priest in Hong Kong called Franco Mella. I have interviewed him, and he told me that communism is a good thing, and that
Wow.
and he said, "Hooray, Chairman Mao!" I said, "Chairman Mao killed many body." He said, "No, Chairman Mao killed nobody," and
Wow. Talk
and he
about
said
being brainwashed.
he said that the border between Hong Kong and China should be abolished, and because Chinese should not fight Chinese.
So
And
is this a priest from Italy, or is he an Italian? I mean, is he a priest in Italy, or is he a priest in Hong Kong but of Italian descent?
he's from Italy, but he has been living in Hong Kong for decades. And he advocates that Hong Kong can accommodate 0.1 billion more people from China.
Wow.
And
So essentially,
but
we have evangelical and some Catholic priests and pastors, uh, essentially preaching the gospel of Mao rather than the laws of Moses and the gospel of Jesus Christ is what's essentially going on.
exactly in response to Franco Mella's sayings, or uh, the U.S. Hong Kong pastor Pastor Bob Crab said, communism is incompatible with Christianity
That's
because
absolutely right.
communism is based on the premise that there is no God.
Absolutely. They call that scientific socialism or scientific communism. I believe that's what the term that the Soviet Union used to use. The state has proven that there is no God, they would say. And it's amazing to think that with liberation theology and other subversion in churches and seminaries, that pastors and priests would even think about condoning the current communist regime, let alone Mao Zedong, who killed millions, more so than the number of people killed by either Stalin or Hitler combined.
Exactly.
So, can I ask you just one final question, Chapman? And feel free to mention something else that we haven't covered. But I'd like to ask you, what have some churches been doing to support the protesters? I'm sure there are some pastors and churches, maybe underground churches perhaps. But what have some other pastors and Christians been doing to support the protests in opposition of the repressive Chinese Communist government?
Well, some churches try to open their door to Hong Kong activists being chased by the police. But in one case, well, at least one case, the police actually broke into the church and beat up people there and
Wow.
arrest people. It's blasphemy, I think. Outrageous.
Okay. Is there any last word you'd like to share with us, Chapman?
Well, I think I would appeal to the U.S. government and also to all civilized countries to actually execute the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act and or the Magnitsky Act in order to freeze the overseas assets of the Chinese and Hong Kong government officials for violation of human rights in Hong Kong. I also appeal and pledge with U.S. government to cancel the Hong Kong Policy Act so that China cannot exchange renminbi for US dollars while Hong Kong dollars. I think the if these measures are actually carried out, not just enacted in law, but actually carried out and executed, then it will put an end to Red China.
Absolutely. Well, we hope your message is received by our government in the U.S. here, and that these measures are in fact enacted to freeze these assets and to stop the communist Chinese menace that is being inflicted on the people of Hong Kong right now as we speak. Take care, Chapman. Stay safe, and of course, God bless you, my friend.
Thank you, Christian. God bless USA. Make Hong Kong great again.
That's right. Make Hong Kong great again. I love the hat. Take care.
Take care. Thank you.